Real Madrid's miracle worker, the coach who bends reality. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 81. At this moment, after Nani heard the words, he smiled slightly. It seems that Coach Lin Guang doesn't need me anymore. I'd like to see how you can win Tottenham in the league over the weekend. Ahem. Nani said confidently. After saying that, he casually threw the training vest he was wearing on the ground and turned away. Oh, thanks for the reminder. Lin Guang said lightly at this moment. Well, so do I. It seems that Coach Lin Guang's opinion of me is also quite big. At this time, Baba, who was combing his head in the middle, also walked out of the team, and then threw away the training suit. He then walked in the direction where Nani had left. Good to go, not to send. At this time, Lin Guang still said expressionlessly. After a while, Lin Guang looked at the team members in front of him, and then stretched out. Who else? If anyone else disobeys my coaching, they can leave immediately. Lin Guang looked at everyone and then said with a serious face. At this moment, everyone was silent. After a while, the team's veteran captain, Giggs, took the initiative to pick up the two training suits on the ground. Then he, along with Scholes, arranged for the remaining players to get back on their feet at once. Well, if you don't leave now, I'll be your temporary approval of me as a coach. Giggs, you lead all the players, run laps first. After 10 laps, assemble in place. Then I'll explain the tactics of the weekend game. At this time, Lin Guang began to arrange the training tasks of the day. Yes, coach. Giggs answered, then led the United players to start running in circles around the training ground. Lin Guang, on the other hand, found a stool and sat leisurely on the edge of the training ground. Lin Guang was completely unconcerned about the strike and departure of Nani and Berbatov. In the first training of the team, Lin Guang, as the new coach, did not want to deliberately carry out leeway. After all, Lin Guang is going to coach at Manchester United for a long time, and players who don't fit their own philosophy have to leave. Although he already had a plan in his heart, he was still ready to give these old players some opportunities. As long as he works hard and has a serious attitude, Lin Guang is willing to let him stay in the team. But what Lin Guang did not expect was that before he started to establish his position in the team, two players took the lead in making a dismount to himself. Lin Guang thought about it, so it was better to screen players for himself in advance. In fact, Lin Guang also knows that he has the coaching artifact of the player. That's the obey your word card. On the day he left Real Madrid, Lin Guang untied the team and the card. And now there is no binding on Manchester United, and there is also a consideration of the current old players. After the winter break transfer period, after Lin Guang's own players arrive at the team one after another, he will bind the team for the first time. At this time, outside the training ground, Nani and Berbatov, who had left the team, met at the club gate at this moment. Hey, Biba, how did you get out? At this time, Nani asked in doubt. Cut, isn't it that the new coach takes office and burns 3 fires first? This Lin Guang came to the team today, it is to leeway. Thinking about this young coach, not much older than me, I'm not used to him. At this point, Biba gave Nani an expression that he has already seen through everything. Oh, you deserve to be a dashing brother. This Lin Guang came straight up to me today to find my stubble, and I knew that he must still be angry with me. Finding me a bunch of shortcomings, don't you just want to suppress me directly? Then slowly make me give in, and from now on, I will only obey him. At this moment, Nani also said with some disbelief. Just now Lin Guang is not the same to me, saying that I am not active in running. I sweat a lot on the pitch, don't I? Rest assured, when he loses a game or two, he'll beg us to go back. After all, Manchester United can't do without us. At this point, Biba continued to speak to Nani. Ahem. It's not so easy to beg me to go back when the time comes, unless you apologize to me in front of everyone. Oh, this Lin Guang is really bad as a coach, originally thought of the first training leeway, but the result was that we both made a trip first. Ha 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 ha. At this point, Nani suddenly laughed. That is, leave him alone. Look at him in the weekend league, how to come to us. Go, drink and go. Biba smiled at this point. Good. By the time Nani and Biba were leaving, Giggs had already led the players through 10 laps on the training ground. Coach, please guide. At this time, Giggs led the players to stand in front of Lin Guang. All the players who have now run 10 laps are gasping for breath. Good. Lin Guang stood up from the stool at this time. At this time, Lin Guang's first training session in Manchester United officially began. Time passed slowly, and soon it was the day of the race. This match between Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur is Lin Guang's debut since he became a coach. The result of this match will also become Lin Guang's first answer sheet to Manchester United fans. An hour before the start of the game, the stands at Old Trafford were already full of fans. The players of both teams have already been training before the game in their respective halves. On United's side, except for Nani and Biba, who are not in the team, the rest of the players have arrived on the pitch. Tottenham Hotspur's head coach, Redknapp, has been standing at the halftime midline, motionless. At this time, as the head coach, Lin Guang immediately went to the direction of Lao Lei to say hello. "Lin Guang, don't you come here. I don't know what magic your boy casts, but please stay away from my players in the future." At this time, just as Lin Guang was about to shake hands and greet him, Old Lei suddenly said as if he were facing a great enemy. "Old Coach Lei, what's the situation with you?" Lin Guang saw the funny Old Lei at this moment and asked in doubt. "Ahem. It's not a good thing your boy did. After Bale and Modric met with you last time, it was like a demon, and every day they were clamoring to transfer to Real Madrid. And when Lin Guang announced that he was Manchester United manager, they were clamoring every day to join Manchester United immediately. The team disagreed, and these two boys began to pretend to be sick and not come to train, which really made me angry." At this time, Old Lei said angrily to Lin Guang. Hearing this, Lin Guang covered his face with both hands. Who has the heavens spared? Own actions, let the two players of other people's teams innocently strike. Unexpectedly, this disaster also fell on his own head. Episode 82. Old Coach Lei, some things are very mysterious. It makes sense that I and Bell and Modric feel sorry for each other at first sight, right? Maybe my suggestion of their location was correct at the time? At this time, Lin Guang explained with some embarrassment. Nonsense. My players, I don't know how to use them yet. Bale is the best left back in my heart and Modric is a good defender. Anyway, Coach Lin Guang, please stay away from my players in the future. At this time, Redknapp still breathlessly said. Well, Coach Ray, if I win this game, you'll give me the two of them, right? At this time, Lin Guang looked at Old Lei and said solemnly. Good. Although we know this game is your debut at Manchester United, we at Tottenham Hotspur will also go all out to win this game. If I lose, Bale and Modric's transfer requests, I as coach will not stand in the way. If you lose, please don't poach Manchester United. At this time, as an experienced old coach, Old Ray had no reason to refuse a young coach challenge. One word is enough. 3 minutes before the game, the players had returned to the dressing room to change their game jerseys. At this moment, the big screen of the stadium began to show the starting lineup lists of the two teams. The first is the starting lineup of home side Manchester United. Formation, 42-22. Forwards, Wayne Rooney, Hernandez. Midfielder, Giggs, Valencia. Scholes, Fletcher. Defenders, Evra, Vidic, Evans, O'Shea. Goalkeeper, Van der Sar. Just after the Manchester United squad was shown, the director duly switched the camera to the fan stands. At this time, Nani and Berbatov were sitting leisurely in the fan area, in front of the spectators. Woo! At this time, looking at the screen, the home fans at the scene suddenly booed. Baba, when you look at this lineup that Lin Guang has discharged, didn't you deliberately find a way to lose? Two small forwards, and the physical state of Giggs and Scholes, can only play half a game at most. Also, the current bench players seem to be a little bit weak. At this moment, Nani, who automatically filtered out the boos on the scene, said playfully to the Baba next to him. Yeah, who knows Manchester United better than we do? This lineup, after the first half at most, will completely collapse. Leave him alone, let's see how Lin Guang loses his debut game. Otherwise, how can we be important? I can now think of Lin Guang coming to us after the game to apologize. Ha 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 ha. At this time, Berbatov looked at the lineup list on the screen and laughed. Haha, I'm looking forward to it too. Immediately after that, on the big screen, the squad of Tottenham Hotspur appeared. Formation, 4-4-2. Forwards, Crouch, Defoe. Midfielders, Dos Santos, Hoholston, Modric, Lennon. Defenders, Bale, Ector, Dawson, Ridley. Goalkeeper, Gomez. Standard 1 high and 1 fast forward match. Bale is still a left back and Modric is still a defensive back. Well, this old Ray is really a stubborn donkey. At this time, Lin Guang looked up at the list on the big screen and sighed helplessly. After a while, the players of both teams were already standing on the pitch. Beep. At this time, the referee blew the whistle of the start of the game. Manchester United, as the home team, took the lead at this moment. Rooney drove the ball out and passed it to Scholes behind him. At this point, Ginger Head was in possession of the ball in midfield, and Manchester United strikers quickly ran forward. But at this moment, Crouch and Defoe still rushed into the Manchester United half. Scholes had to pass the ball to the left side of the pitch and Giggs received the ball smoothly. In order to save his strength, Giggs did not choose to break forward at this moment. After taking the ball forward a few steps, Giggs immediately passed the ball to the box. However, United's two small strikers, only about 175 centimeters, were blocked by Tottenham's tall centre-backs. Spurs centre-back Dawson, who is 190 centimeters tall, directly snatched up Giggs' high-altitude ball. At this moment, Tottenham Hotspur successfully won the ball. Dawson immediately passed the ball to Bale on the left side of the court. After Bale took the ball, he directly took the ball and broke forward, completely ignoring the defenders in front. But Lin Guang is very aware of Bale's technical characteristics, and he has long expected this to happen. At this moment, Manchester United fullback Valencia is already waiting on the wing. Valencia's speed is also extremely fast, so Lin Guang let him serve as the first level of defense against Bale. At this time, Bale and Valencia began to compete for speed on the side. But now Bale is attacking and Valencia is defending, so the pace of United's fullbacks has gradually slowed down. However, Lin Guang also has a back move, and at this moment, right back O'Shea quickly made up for the position and immediately formed an auxiliary defense against Bale. But a good sage, in the face of the two people's defense, Bale still protected the ball at his feet. However, the attack was hampered and Bale had to pass the ball to Dos Santos in front. At this time, Lin Guangdu secretly applauded Bale's attack under the court. Too strong. Be sure to include this person in your own team as soon as possible. If it weren't for the fact that the old Ray was not a man and put Bale at left back, then the attack just now, Manchester United's defense could easily be broken. Lin Guang was secretly sweating at the moment. If Bale's position was in the winger position, then his breakthrough distance would be shortened a lot, and the result would be. It's really unimaginable. At this time, Dos Santos, after holding the ball, continued to carry the ball forward. Lin Guang remembers that this person should be a little demon player of the former Barca, but he does not know why he will gradually fall into the football world in the future. However, Dos Santos's dribbling technology is still very strong. After breaking through Scholes, he carried the ball to the front of the box. Dos Santos continued to cut through the horizontally, seeing that he was about to strike the door immediately. However, defender Fletcher appeared in time to directly shovel the threatening ball. The ball quickly rolled away towards the outside of the penalty area, and Lin Guang secretly breathed a sigh of relief. But he immediately felt a chill in his heart. At this time, that person must not appear in front of the forbidden area. Because this kind of opportunity generally belongs to Modric. This is the characteristic of the magic flute, because this blonde player has the technique of shooting from a distance. But fortunately, at this time, the ball that rolled down was grabbed by Rooney, who retreated to the defense. Modric, on the other hand, was still placed in the position of scavenger and hesitated. Lin Guang once again scolded Old Thunder at this moment, and at the same time sighed his luck. At this point, Rooney took the ball and the ball returned to the feet of Manchester United. Episode 83. At this time, after taking the ball, Rooney, like two small tanks, directly rammed with the ball forward. As a back, Modric immediately rushed forward at this moment, but was violently knocked away by Lu Xiaoqiu. After swinging past another back, Hoholston, Rooney directly pulled out his foot and shot at a long distance. Boo! The ball popped up from Rooney's feet. The unreasonable long-range shot flew straight towards Tottenham's goal. But at this moment, Tottenham Hotspur goalkeeper Gomez is very concentrated. Facing the incoming ball, he immediately punched it with both fists. Bang! This long-range shot was well defended. However, the ball that was hit by the goalkeeper was rolled into the box. Hernandez, the little P who has been ambushing in the Tottenham penalty area, was very dexterous to snatch the ball down. After taking the ball, Hernandez did not adjust in the face of the defender's blocking, directly buckled the ball, and then played another goal. Unfortunately, the goal was not successful, and the ball was close to the goal post and slid through the goal. Hernandez was now very angry with his hands clasped his head, sighing at bad luck. At this time, Lin Guang, who was standing on the side of the court, saw the situation and pressed his forehead with great regret. Forget it, wait a minute. See what this group of players can play? At this time, Lin Guang looked at the players on the field and then looked at the props in his system backpack. Beep. Just then, the referee blew the whistle to signal the game to a halt. It turns out that at this moment, Tottenham Hotspur will have to make a substitution. Lin Guang now looked at Tottenham coach Redknapp, who was also on the sidelines. Only to see him quickly replace Dos Santos and then replace him with Kluka. Kluka's position on the pitch is as a left back at the back. So, what is Old Ray going to do? Lin Guang was a little confused at the moment. But at this time, there are not many player cards for Manchester United to play. Therefore, seeing the opponent's substitution, Lin Guang is still unmoved by the player mobilization at this moment. Beep. The whistle sounded again. Tottenham's substitutions ended and the game went on. At this point, the goal was kicked off by Tottenham. The goalkeeper gently passed the ball to centre-back Dawson in front. The Tottenham players are now immediately running forward. However, the new formation of Tottenham Hotspur at this moment surprised Lin Guang. This cunning old fox. Lin Guang scolded in his heart at this time. Because Redknapp changed Tottenham's formation to a diamond-shaped position of 442 at this moment. Hoholstone became a single back, while Modric was turned into a front back in advance. Bale also moved from the left back position to the left winger position. At this moment, Tottenham's team, Bale and Lennon, one left and one right, flying in unison. Redknapp, as an old coach, under several reminders from Lin Guang. If he doesn't know how to change the tactics of the players, then he is also a famous coach in football. On the other side of the stadium, Lao Lei seemed to feel Lin Guang's glaring gaze, and at the moment he was just smiling. In the face of Tottenham's active change, Lin Guang is very helpless at this moment. But the game had to go on, and he had to direct the players to defend immediately. Alas, Nani and Baba, these two goods. If you are in the team, you should be able to handle it much easier now. At this moment, Lin Guang once again scolded the two people who were watching the play in the fan area in his heart. But now, after the change of lineup Tottenham, the offensive has been completed. At this time, the football was smoothly handed to their forward Modric. And Manchester United's players, under the command of Lin Guang, all returned to their own half. But at this time, the magic flute on the front waist position seems to be like a fish in the water. His pitch's big picture allowed him to quickly spot a defensive flaw in United. Only to see him gently make a beautiful provocative pass to the left front, and pass the ball directly to Bell in the back row. After Bell took the ball, he did not stop the ball, but directly started in place, and broke forward with the ball. Bale, who is holding the ball at the moment, is closer to the position of the goal. Right back O'Shea and fullback Fletcher worked together to defend but could not do anything about it. At this time, the newborn calf Bell moved forward recklessly, without any disregard. Central defender Evans couldn't stop him even with a sliding shovel in front of the penalty area. When Bale carried the ball into the box, he immediately hit the goal with his left foot. At this time, Bale directly hit the far corner of the goal. Van der Sar saw this and immediately flew sideways. But at this moment, the football speed is extremely fast, and the angle is extremely tricky. Aha! Football into the net. Bale scored the first goal for Tottenham. At the moment, Manchester United are 0-1 at home to Tottenham, 1 point behind. Beep. The referee blew the goal whistle. Van der Sar slowly stood up from the turf in exasperation. At this time, the home fans suddenly booed. Nani and Biba, sitting in the fan zone, high-fived and celebrated with smiling faces. Without us, Manchester United couldn't survive the first half. Huh. At this time, Nani confidently smiled at the Baba next to him. Now a 1-point away lead as Tottenham's manager, Redknapp, jumped on the sidelines in excitement. Old Ray, Bell and Modric, are they good to use? At this time, the depressed Lin Guang paced to Old Lay's side and then asked playfully. Haha, easy to use. They really should be repositioned. Old Ray blurted out. Cough cough. Lin Guang, it's you. I have to admit that the problem you pointed out is indeed true. However, the rules of the game between me and you are the winner or loser of this game. At this time, seeing Lin Guang, Old Lay was also an old face red. Good. Old Ray, you just remember. I haven't lost yet. After the game, these two players I have to decide. Lin Guang snorted and prepared to return to his half. At this time, Bale, who scored the first goal of the game, was excitedly running in the stadium to celebrate. At this moment, I saw him running directly from the field to the sideline, straight to the position of his coach, Lao Lei. At this moment, old Ray saw the situation and happily opened his arms, waiting for his players to hug and celebrate. Bell was getting closer and closer to Redknapp's position. However, the picture of the two hugging and celebrating did not happen. Only to see Bell at this moment, running directly towards Lin Guang, who was not far away from old Lei's side. Then, this great sage gave Lin Guang a big hug. Redknapp. At this time, old Ray, awkwardly opening his arms, stood in place, motionless. It was as if a crow had slowly passed over his head. But Bell stood next to Lin Guang with a happy face, and then said excitedly, "Coach Lin Guang, what do you think of my goal?" Episode 84. At this time, Lin Guang was a little confused. Although he knew that sooner or later, this monkey was in his pocket. However, after scoring the goal now, directly to celebrate with his rival head coach, Lin Guang still feels a little embarrassed. However, after seeing old Lei's frustrated expression at this moment, Lin Guang was suddenly relieved. It seems that this recruitment binding of my own is still too powerful. Lin Guang decided that in the future, if he had the opportunity, he would still go out and recruit some potential players to enter the team. At least it will not appear, and now his debut game, there is no one to use in the embarrassing situation. Cough, this goal of yours, really. It's wonderful. But, monkey, your head coach seems to be over there. At this time, Lin Guang pointed to the side of Bell, and his face was swollen into the color of pig's liver. Oh, to the point. However, Coach Lin Guang, do you really think this ball is okay? At this moment, Bell was still sincerely waiting for Lin Guang's evaluation. Lin Guang nodded, and then Bale finally smiled reassuringly and ran directly back to the court. Old Ray, this is pure personal charm. I can't help it. Lin Guang smiled awkwardly, and then quickly slipped back to his coach's seat. Huh? What's going on with this Bell? Why did you suddenly hug Lin Guang? At this time, Nanny in the stand said to Baba doubtfully. Oh, maybe I'm too excited to hug the wrong person. Shouldn't we care about Lin Guang now that he's behind the score? Haha. Biba heard the words and smiled lightly. Oh, yes, yes. At this moment, Lin Guang, who returned to the coaching bench, had to start nervous. The players who are 1 point behind and then on the bench are almost all old veterans and young players in the academy. Hey, there's no card to play. What to do? It seems that only system props can be used. After the winter break transfer period, the players they want are in place, and then rebuild the team. But just then, a familiar voice sounded. Ding. Detected that the host is in his first game after managing Manchester United and is 1 goal behind. Option A, lose the game, reward 2 goal cards, reputation -2. Option B, win the game, the reward header must score 5 cards, and the team stamina potion bottle, small. At this time, the voice of the system sounded in Lin Guang's head. Select B. Lin Guang immediately made a choice. Choose success. Congratulations to the host for getting 5 header cards and a bottle of the team stamina potion, small. At this moment, the system immediately replied. At this time, Lin Guang looked at the various props in the system backpack, and he had to shake his head helplessly and smile bitterly. The system is still too cautious. This game can achieve the purpose of winning even if you use the old props of the past. And, before the winter break transfer period, Manchester United will have 2 games. Now don't hurry to investigate the old people of the team, when will you stay? Well, this header must go into the card, as the name suggests, Lin Guang is also easy to understand. So he didn't have the first time to consult the meaning of the system card. If this kind of card is to be used in this game, is it necessary to play the tactic of the bottom cross? But Lin Guang looked at the team's 2 small forwards at the moment and couldn't help but smile bitterly and shake his head. Header tactics? At this time, Lin Guang suddenly thought of a passing tactic created by a big god player when playing football games in a previous life. It's a rogue tactic in which only the winger drives a cross near the bottom line and then the center in the penalty area smashes it with a header. However, this tactic must be equipped with a special formation, and this formation has a special name, the Demon King Array. Thinking of this, Lin Guang no longer hesitated. When the opponent has scored a goal and the game has not resumed at this moment, hurry up and make a substitution. Makita, you replace Hernandez at once. At this time, Lin Guang shouted loudly at a young player on the bench. When Makita heard this, he immediately stood up, and the expression on his face was a little excited at the moment. At this time, through the substitution sign of the third referee off the field, the little P immediately ran to the field. After high-fiving Hernandez, Makita ran to the court. Lin Guang chose to let this young player play at this moment, and he had some considerations. Since header tactics are about to be carried out, it is necessary to change a tall center. At present, in Lin Guang's bench lineup, the only suitable player is this 186 centimeters tall Makita. Giggs, come here. At this time, taking advantage of the gap between the substitutions, Lin Guang shouted loudly at Giggs. When Giggs heard this, he immediately came to the side of the court. As captain, in a moment you go and convey to the team members that I will ask you to execute the tactics next. Except for you and Valencia on the left, everyone is focused on the right side of the pitch. Then you and Valencia will just cross from the left and don't care about physical strength. And the players on the right, whether it's strikers and defenders, just score headers. Remember, let them just head in after receiving the bottom cross. At this time, Lin Guang repeatedly confessed to Giggs. Yes, coach. Giggs immediately nodded in reply. Although he somewhat did not understand the meaning of Lin Guang's tactics. But after returning to the court, Giggs still conveyed the task given by Lin Guang to every player on the field. Beep. After a while, the referee blew the whistle and the game went on. At this moment, Manchester United, the side that conceded the goal, kicked off. Rooney and Marchita immediately ran towards the right side of the pitch after driving the ball out. Giggs and Valencia, on the other hand, kept advancing on the left side. At the moment, the right side of Manchester United is overcrowded. And Giggs and Valencia spared no effort to break through on the left and then cross the bottom. At this point, when the ball was once again broken near the bottom line of Tottenham's penalty area, Giggs immediately sent the ball down the bottom. At this moment, Rooney, Makita, and Fletcher Scholes and others are already waiting for the ball on the right. Seeing the soccer ball coming from the left side of the stadium, Rooney and the others immediately jumped high. Due to United's large numbers on the right, Tottenham's left side players can defend over where they can. At this moment, Manchester United's tallest Makita took the lead in grabbing the header. Only to see him immediately shake his head and directly smash into the soccer ball in the air. System immediately used the header must score the card. Target player, Makita. At this time, Lin Guang, who was highly concentrated outside the venue, immediately communicated with the system. Episode 85. Ding. The header must be scored, and the use is successful. At this time, the system immediately replied. In the next second, the ball that Makita smashed with his head flew quickly in the direction of the goal. Aha! Football instantly goes online. Goalkeeper Gomez has made a big save, but still can't stop the power of this powerful header. Beep. The referee blew the whistle of the goal at the first time. The score between Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur has now become a 1-1 draw. This header from Makita equalizes Manchester United's scoreline. Lin Guang's decision to replace him had an immediate effect. At this time, in the fan stands, there was a cheer. The demeanor of Nani and Biba is somewhat unnatural. After the goal, Makita celebrated excitedly and then pointed to his head at the fans. Lin Guang, on the other hand, stood proudly on the side of the court, smiling confidently. Lin Guang, this formation of yours is really interesting. It's a strange tactic to sacrifice the team's left side and only get a header on the right. In my decades of football career, I have never seen a coach who plays like this. At this time, the old lay who was not far from the side of the court shook his head and sighed. Haha, is it? Then it will be more fun later. Lin Guang looked at old lay and then smiled slyly. After a while, the game went on. Tees are kicked off by Tottenham Hotspur, the side that conceded the goal. After kick-off, Tottenham's players undoubtedly passed the ball directly to Bale, who had the strongest breakthrough ability in their team. However, Bale, who is on the left side at the moment, has encountered Manchester United's human wall defense. Because, with the exception of Giggs and Valencia on the left, almost all the other players of Manchester United are piled up on the right. So if Bale were to break through on United's right side, it would be almost impossible. Tottenham Hotspur's coach Redknapp saw the situation and immediately made tactical adjustments. he immediately shifted Bale's position to his own right. Bale and Lennon fought each other directly against each other's Giggs and Valencia. At this moment, Manchester United, the right side is heavily armed, while the left side is very empty. Tottenham's right side is an addition to Bale and Lennon, with striker Defer and right-back Ridley among them. Therefore, under the unlimited pressure of Manchester United's right side, Tottenham's counterattack has also played very well. Thus, for most of the first half, the offense and defense of the two teams reached a balance at one point. However, such a glued posture has caused the physical strength of players on both sides to continue to lose. At the beginning of the second half, the physical strength of the players of the two teams has dropped a lot. "Coach, I feel like I can't run." At this time, Giggs said breathlessly to Lin Guang. Lin Guang heard the words and nodded lightly at this moment. Because he knows that the disadvantage of this Demon King formation is that the players in the left cross are particularly hard, and their physical strength is also the most reduced. Moreover, the role of senior players like Giggs and Scholes in the team is simply old and new. Transitional players like this are usually replaced after half a game, or occasionally come on as a substitute. "Coach, do you want to replace an old player like me?" At this time, Giggs solemnly proposed to Lin Guang. But at this moment, Lin Guang looked at the players on the bench, the only remaining right-back Raphael, centre-back Smalling and other players, and shook his head helplessly. "Giggs, the left side position you are in charge of now is very important, you have to stick to it." At this moment, Lin Guang, who had no one to use, had to consult with Giggs in this way. "Okay, coach." Giggs seemed to understand Lin Guang's dilemma at this moment, and quickly responded when he saw this. After a while, Lin Guang finally replaced Scholes, who had some ankle injuries, with Carrick. Next, Lin Guang's header tactics in the second half continued. System: use team stamina potion. Target team: Manchester United. At this time, when he saw that the physical strength of the players on both sides was about to be exhausted, Lin Guang immediately communicated with the system. Ding. Team stamina potion, small, used successfully. At this time, the system immediately replied. At this moment, the Manchester United players on the pitch suddenly felt an abundance of strength moving through their bodies. Immediately after, Giggs and Valencia made another efficient breakthrough on the left side of the pitch and then crossed the bottom. At this moment, the rest of the Manchester United players are in the Tottenham Hotspur penalty area, very energetically competing for the header. Tottenham's players, looking at the group of Manchester United players on the pitch who are still alive and kicking in the second half, have a puzzled face. Lin Guang watched the performance of the players on the court with satisfaction. Because the current team stamina potion is a vial, Lin Guang only started using it in the second half. Soon, the physically exhausted United players gradually gained the upper hand in the game. At this moment, Giggs once again seized a chance to go to the bottom and then pass the ball directly into the box. Carrick, who has just started, has a strong desire to perform at the moment. After seeing the ball coming from the side at this moment, Carrick immediately jumped high in the penalty area. System: immediately use the header must score the card. Target player: Carrick. Lin Guang saw the situation and continued to communicate with the system. Ding. Successful use. The system immediately replied. At this time, I saw that Carrick accurately found the location of the football. Then, with his own head, he slammed into the football. Aha! Football has successfully entered the net again. Ball, it's in. In the next second, the whole Old Trafford Stadium, a sea of joy. Here I go. Is this okay? At this time, Nani looked at the Biba beside him. At this moment, Berbatov also had a confused expression. At this time, the goal hero Carrick quickly ran to the stadium in front of the stands, shouting excitedly at the fans. And Lin Guang, who was standing on the sidelines, couldn't help but wave his arms happily. Lin Guang, are you so interesting? Is this strange remnant, constantly smashing the header, fun? At this time, Old Lay took the initiative to come to Lin Guang's side, and then said without anger. Cough cough. Old Ray, how did you forget what you said? The rules of the game between us are the winners and losers of this game. Lin Guang heard the words and deliberately replied playfully to Redknapp. Ahem. Old Thunder snorted, then walked away breathlessly. At this moment, Lin Guang called the players to his side, and then loudly issued his coaching instructions. All the players listen. Next, keep smashing my header. Smash. Smash me hard. Episode 86. Yes, coach. Received. At this time, the emotional Manchester United players spoke in unison. From the doubts about Lin Guang's tactics in the first half to the recognition of this strange formation in the second half. The United players have experienced a difference from falling behind the game to overtaking the score. At this moment, Lin Guang's tactical formation worked, and the players still had half a word for Lin Guang. Next, the morale of the Manchester United team, all the way to siege the city. The coaches and players of the Tottenham Hotspur team are completely unaccustomed to Lin Guang's nonsense style of play. Coupled with Manchester United's players, it seems that the physical strength is not exhausted. Therefore, Tottenham Hotspur gradually lost at the back. Moreover, Lin Guang did not hesitate to use up all the header cards. So, by the end of the game, Manchester United had beaten Tottenham Hotspur 5-1 at home. Ahem. Go Sher Yun. Nani snorted softly, then stood up from his seat. Alas. Let's go. Biba tapped Nani lightly on the shoulder and said helplessly. Immediately afterward, Nani and Baba left the scene early in frustration. Beep. Beep. At this moment, the referee blew the whistle at the end of the game. At this time, on the big screen of the stadium, the final score of Manchester United vs Tottenham Hotspur was fixed at 5-1. Among them, the visiting Tottenham Hotspur scorer scored a sports goal for Bale. And the home team Manchester United's 5 goals, all of them were completed by headers. Phew. After Lin Guang won this thrilling game, he let out a breath easily. Manchester United's players are also beginning to cheer at this moment. Lin Guang. Lin Guang. At this time, the fans at home began to shout Lin Guang's name loudly. This Lin Guang's Manchester United debut match was a successful success. At this moment, on the side of the court, Lin Guang listened to the enthusiastic voices of the fans, and he was also very excited. Because Lin Guang knows that from this game, the fans of Old Trafford have recognized him as Ferguson's successor. Thank you, coach. It's your tactics that make me, the old man, still useful. And, under this tactic, I was physically strong until the end of the game. At this time, Giggs stood next to Lin Guang and said excitedly to Lin Guang. After saying that, Giggs immediately gave Lin Guang a big hug. How do you say this? It's true that my tactics are strong, that's right. As the captain, as well as the left side of the road, this game is also very hard for you. In the face of Giggs' warm thanks, Lin Guang replied with some embarrassment at this moment. Giggs scored a few assists in the game and was physically strong, which he thought should be Coach Lin Guang's first achievement. Thank you, coach. It's your tactics that made me, a rookie player, score 2 headers in this game. I hope that Coach Lin Guang will pay more attention to me in the future. At this time, this game, Makita, who had scored twice, excitedly said to Lin Guang. After saying that, Makita was like Giggs, and hugged Lin Guang. Lin Guang could only continue to smile and nod at Makita, and then continue to give him encouragement. Thank you, coach. You change me up and I score. It shows that I am completely qualified for the position of the main force. At this time, Carrick said confidently to Lin Guang. After saying that, Carrick began to move from side to side. He was wondering if he should also hug his coach. Well, you're doing a great game. What you just said, I'll think about it, cough. Lin Guang did not wait for Carrick's next move to begin, and then immediately preemptively replied. After saying that, he slowly pretended to walk away to the side. Coach Lin Guang, thank you. It's your guiding idea that makes us stronger. At this time, Bell and Modric came to Lin Guang's side and said excitedly. After saying that, the 2 members of the Tottenham team immediately embraced Lin Guang. I said, you too, it's not good to do this now. After all, this is the home of Manchester United. At this time, looking at the 2 people in front of him, Lin Guang said awkwardly again. Boom. Boom. At this point, Old Ray came over from the other side of the pitch and knocked Bale and Modric's head. You 2 stinky boys, don't lose anyone here. If you lose the game, don't get me back to the locker room yet. At this time, Redknapp angrily scolded the 2 monkey flutes. After saying that, Old Ray grabbed the 2 men's jerseys and dragged them back hard. That's right, Lin Guang. This game, I lost. So, if these 2 guys want to transfer, as head coach, I won't stop them. But Tottenham Hotspur's marketing department, Manchester United will slowly communicate. At this moment, Old Lay's pace paused, and then he immediately said to Lin Guang. Good. At this time, Lin Guang said firmly. Because Bale and Modric, the two players, whether it is their own team-building plan in the future, or they have a recruitment contract with themselves, Lin Guangdu will include the two people in front of him into his team for the first time. The afterlife is really terrible. Lin Guang, although your coaching behavior is grotesque, but you're really strong. At this moment, Redknapp said heartily. After saying that, Old Ray continued to pull the monkey flute duo and kept walking towards the player passage. Coach Lin Guang, we'll be back. At this time, a real voice came from a distance. Boom. Boom. At this moment, the sound of two hands knocking on the head sounded at the same time. Old Trafford, home team locker room. Lin Guang gently opened the door and walked straight in. Cracking sound. At this time, seeing Lin Guang come in, the players in the locker room involuntarily applauded. Lin Guang saw the situation and couldn't help but be stunned. But after a while, his heart warmed again. Because Lin Guang knows that after this debut game, the players almost all recognized themselves as a head coach. Coach's post-game remarks. At this time, Giggs shouted loudly. When the players heard this, they immediately fell silent. In today's game, everyone's performance is great. Whether it's our experienced old players or passionate young players. Manchester United's 5-goal victory over Tottenham Hotspur today is everyone's credit. Of course, there are two people who are self-leave, except. At this time, Lin Guang smiled at the players in the locker room. Episode 87. After a while, Lin Guang left the dressing room amid the warm applause of the players. He had to rush to the press room now. This will be the first time since Lin Guang joined Manchester United to participate in the post-match press conference as a head coach. When Lin Guang stepped into the interview room and saw the number of reporters present, he couldn't help but be a little surprised. Compared with the previous time at Real Madrid, the number of journalists here is almost doubled. While lamenting his current popularity, Lin Guang could not help but sigh at the strength of Yinglanguo's media industry. Lin Guang slowly came to the interview table, and then adjusted the microphone to his face as he sat precariously. Everybody. I'm winning again. Lin Guang, who was sitting at the interview desk, took the lead in speaking to all the reporters at this moment. At this time, the flash in the interview room is constantly flashing. Coach Lin Guang, congratulations on your first win at the helm of Manchester United. May I ask, what are your thoughts on this 5-goal win over Tottenham? At this time, a reporter took the microphone and began to ask questions to Lin Guang. First of all, I want to thank Coach Ferguson. Because he taught me a lot about the experience of coaching the team and the trust in me. Then it's the players' hard work in this game that will be exchanged for this hard-won victory. In the face of the reporter's question, Lin Guang replied very solemnly at this moment. Coach Lin Guang, may I ask you about the formation and tactics of this game? Was it deliberately done by you? As we all know, when you are the manager of Real Madrid, you are very fond of using particularly strange formations. At this point, another reporter went on to ask questions. It's not deliberate. As coaches, we analyze the way our opponents play before every game. We will analyze the characteristics of the opponent and then make corresponding tactics to deal with it. Lin Guang heard this and immediately gave his own answer. Why are all 5 of United's goals headed? The reporter continued to add to his questions. Oh, just like I said. Against Tottenham's style of play, so I decided to use a header tactic. Obviously, this tactic was successful and we won the final victory. Lin Guang smiled and continued to explain. Hello, Coach Lin Guang. May I ask, why didn't Nani and Berbatov, these two players, get into the squad for this game? These two men, when Sir Alex Ferguson were in charge, were absolute main players. After a while, another reporter asked a poignant question. Because these two are not in my future coaching plan. Lin Guang was a little displeased when he heard these two people, and then replied concisely. At this time, Lin Guang's voice fell, and the sound of the camera shutter kept ringing. In the reporter's interview area, there is also a whisper at this moment. Coach Lin Guang is ready to purge Nani and Biba? It looks like it is. Otherwise, why didn't you even make it to the big roster of the game? The new coach took over the 3 fires. Maybe these two people don't like Lin Guang. Maybe what if the player gives the coach a look? Shortly after the game started, you didn't see Nani and Biba laughing happily in the stands. It seems that Manchester United will be a different scene after the winter break transfer period. After a while, reporters continued to ask questions. Coach Lin Guang, what is your outlook for the team in the second half of the season? Can you reveal something about player transfers here today? At this time, the reporters seized the time to ask questions about Lin Guang. Because they know that Lin Guang is a head coach who does not like to stay in the interview room for too long. The outlook for the second half of the season? It's simple. It's about winning all the championships you can win. Player transfer? All I can say is that someone will leave, and of course someone will come in. At this time, Lin Guang replied lightly. This answer of his gives reporters unlimited imagination space. As soon as this question was answered, Lin Guang was ready to get up and leave. Coach Lin Guang, please wait. Can I ask you one last question? At this time, a female reporter finally grabbed the question microphone at this time. And Lin Guang looked at the reporter's outfit, and at this moment he couldn't help but think of that sweet smile in the West Tooth country. Well, one last question. Tell me. At this time, Lin Guang sat back in his position, and then smiled. Coach Lin Guang, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to ask questions. On the question of Manchester United, other journalists have asked a lot. I would like to ask you what you think about the candidacy for this World Golden Globe Award, can I? The reporter Nono's question, you can see that she is a little nervous. Lin Guang heard the words and nodded to her gently. It's the end of the year, and every time that's the time of the World Golden Globe. The current Golden Globe nominees are Messi, Iniesta, and Harvey. Coach Lin Guang thinks, who of these three will become the last footballer of the year? At this point, the reporter plucked up his courage and then asked the questions he had prepared. And when Lin Guang heard the words at this moment, his heart suddenly froze. As a crosser with memories of his past life, Lin Guang certainly knows that this year's Mr. Golden Globe will eventually fall to Messi. However, this time, the selection of Mr. Golden Globes has caused a big debate among fans around the world. Because when everyone thought that this year's Golden Globe was Sneijder, he couldn't even get into the top 3 nominations. To this end, Lin Guang, who was a small fan in his previous life, also complained about Sneijder on the internet. Because, according to the results of that year, the results of the Champions League and the runner-up of the World Cup, Sneijder is fully qualified to become a Golden Ballon. However, even if it wasn't him, even Iniesta or Harvey, he could convince everyone. However, Messi, who did not win any major championship indicators that year, became the final winner of Mr. Golden Ball. This surprised a lot of people at the time and then argued. Therefore, in this life, as the head coach of Manchester United, Lin Guang felt that it was time to shout for Sneijder again. Well, I think Messi, Xavi, and Iniesta are all good. But, I choose Sneijder. Okay, that's it. Who is in favor and who is against? Episode 88. Lin Guang's voice had just fallen, and in the interview room at this moment, the needle could be heard. The reporters at the scene almost looked at the young coach behind the interview desk in front of him. Lin Guang's words were amazing, surprising everyone. Immediately afterward, the sound of the scene slowly began to become noisy. Everyone was quietly turning their heads and ears for Lin Guang's point of view. Is Coach Lin Guang holding a grudge against Sneijder? It may be. These 3 players of Barcelona, Coach Lin Guang, he did not choose one. It's a shame to say that this Sneijder, according to the results, at least the top 3 of the Golden Ball should have him. It seems that this Coach Lin Guang is really a straight man. The whispers of the reporters gradually made the order of the scene seem a little chaotic. The security personnel in the interview room rushed to maintain and coordinate in the reporter interview area. Coach Lin Guang, Mr. Golden Ball, is selected by the coaches and captains of various national football teams. For this, have you ever thought about going to a national football team and being a head coach in the future? At this time, the reporter who got the interview microphone took the opportunity to ask a question again. I'm sorry I didn't get involved in the Golden Globes this time. However, I applaud all the players who have performed well this year. Head coach of the national football team? Oh, who knows what will happen in the future. All I know is that I am now the manager of Manchester United and my goal is to lead Manchester United to all the titles. That's all. Alright, guys, we'll see you next time. Lin Guang looked at the reporters in front of him and then replied lightly. After saying that, he nodded and smiled at everyone, and then left the interview room on his own. After leaving the interview room, Lin Guang did not go home immediately. He found Captain Giggs and asked him to notify all the players and take a day off the next day. Lin Guang then drove towards his home in Leverkusen, Manchuria. After a while, after parking the car, Lin Guang came to the front door and gently rang the doorbell. Lin Guangzi, are you here? Come in, it's too cold outside. At this time, Ferguson opened the door, saw Lin Guang's arrival, and said happily. Good grin. Man, it's a little late now, I hope it doesn't disturb your rest. Lin Guang hung his coat behind the door and then smiled at Ferguson. Well, as long as your boy is willing to come, it's never too late. Say, what? Shortly after the game, they came straight to me. Ferguson beckoned Lin Guang to sit down on the sofa in front of the fireplace. After a while, the housekeeper brought 2 cups of hot coffee and slowly retreated. Man, isn't this the first game over? I have to come here right away and report to you on your coaching results. Lin Guang took a sip of the coffee lightly, and then replied somewhat mischievously. This Manchester United and Tottenham League, I've just watched it live on TV. Although United had some bumps in the first half, the end result of the whole game was good. Strange formation, strange tactics, 5 goals were all smashed with a header. Anyway, you stinky boy is like this, both worrying and really liking. Ferguson glanced at Lin Guang's expression, and then deliberately angry at him. Man, I'm here today to report to you on my debut results. There are some things about the team that I have to ask you. At this time, Lin Guang immediately said to Ferguson, and his expression was suddenly a little serious. Ahem. I knew you boy that you wouldn't ascend to the 3 Treasures Hall without a problem. Say, is there anything else that Coach Lin Guang can't solve? Ferguson replied softly, and the smile on his face suddenly eased. Man, after this game, I know a little bit about the current Manchester United players. Possibly, after the winter break transfer period. Your old squad players in Manchester United, I may replace most of them. At this time, Lin Guang solemnly consulted with Ferguson. Well, I thought it was something out of the ordinary. Lin Guangzi, let go, and do what you think is right. You are now not only the manager of Manchester United, but also the manager of football at the club. So, as long as you put the team's results first, I don't care how you mess around. Ferguson put the coffee cup down with confidence and looked at the coach successor next to him with a kind face. Thank you, man. Lin Guang heard the words and replied very movingly. By the way, there's one more thing I'd like to tell you. It was before this game that Nani and Biba went on strike and left the team. Possibly, I don't like my new head coach. Lin Guang picked up the coffee cup, and after taking another big sip, he said with some self-deprecation. Ahem. These 2 people are really overwhelmed. In fact, I had already planned to transfer them after the end of the season. Well, if that's the case, when the transfer window opens, send them out. At this moment, Ferguson immediately stood up from the couch and said angrily. For the management of the team, Ferguson, as the head coach in recent decades, has always been very ironclad. Old man, with your strong backing as a team, I am really at ease. Haha, you, the honorary coach for life, will have to come to the team often to give more advice in the future. At this time, after Lin Guang heard the words, his heart was calm, and then he said mischievously to Ferguson. Go for it. You stinky boy. Old man, I said retirement is retirement. Lin Guangzi, you take the initiative to come to me and nag, I will give you some empirical suggestions, that's all. After the team, it still depends on you young people. In the future Manchester United games, the old man will take the initiative to buy tickets and then go to Old Trafford to watch the game. At this moment, Ferguson looked at Lin Guang's expression and replied without anger. Man, soon the winter window transfer will open, in the purchase of players this piece. Mr. Glazer sighed, it should be no problem, right? At this time, Lin Guang narrowed his expression and then solemnly asked Ferguson. Episode 89. Didn't Mr. Marco say last time to give you a transfer budget of 100 million? Rest assured, the big president of the people will not have anything to do with you. By the way, Lin Guangzi, don't come to me for everything in the future, sometimes the team's affairs need to be decided by yourself. It's rare, old man, that I can finally have a happy Christmas. Ferguson heard the words and quickly replied to Lin Guang. Well, sir, I wish you a Merry Christmas in advance. If there is any major decision in the future, I will still come to discuss with you. Have you thought about where to go for Christmas? The last time I went to Samba country, it felt good, and it's still a warm summer. Lin Guang finally loosened his tense nerves at this time, and then smiled at Ferguson. Huh? Samba country, this proposal is good. Ferguson said with a smile, his tone paused, and then solemnly continued to Lin Guang. Lin Guangzi, now the team has been handed over to you, no matter what the future holds, may you treat it well. Even if you are wronged, I hope that you can try to keep abandoning it for a period of time in the future. In the team, there are many things to discuss with the old Mr. Glazer, he should be fully supportive of you. As for his son, Mr. Joel, he communicates with him about everything. After all, this Manchester United, after all, is still their family. Ferguson finished speaking, and he couldn't stop sighing. Lin Guang heard the words and nodded solemnly towards Ferguson. After a while, Lin Guang and Ferguson talked about some team trivia before leaving. As the old lord said, all the affairs of the team still have to be solved by Lin Guang himself. The current Manchester United team is going through a transition period of personnel transition and re-establishment. So, the task is heavy and the road is long. After Lin Guang came out of Ferguson's house, he sighed deeply. As he walked toward the location of the car, Lin Guang had also been thinking about the conversation between him and Ferguson tonight. First of all, there is the transfer of players, and the club and Ferguson are supporting themselves. In addition, for the management of the team, it can be determined that it will truly decide for itself in the future. Finally, it's time to deal with your bosses. Thinking of this, Lin Guang couldn't help but have some headaches. At present, the old Glazer is supporting himself, so in the early stage of the establishment of the team, Lin Guang should not have to worry about the club's high-level peace. As a traverser with memories of past lives, Lin Guang also knows the general direction of Manchester United's development in the next few years. That is, after Mr. Marco fell seriously ill and suffered a stroke, his sons completely regarded Manchester United as a business. Manchester United have also been reduced from a big club to a second-rate team. Thinking of this, Lin Guang secretly decided that he must protect Manchester United for the two old men who trust him. Even if you have no choice but to leave one day, at least you are not ashamed, and it also leaves the team with soil that can grow freely. The future is changeable, it is really helpless. Lin Guang opened the car door, sat down in the seat, and sighed deeply. Jingle bells. Just then, Lin Guang's mobile phone rang. Lin Guang picked up the phone and looked at the name on the screen, and he answered the phone with some surprise. Hey, Kaka? It's so late, what's the matter? At this time, Lin Guang took the mobile phone and asked first. Coach Lin Guang, are you resting now? I just wanted to talk to you, but I haven't contacted you for a long time. At this moment, Kaka answered on the other end of the phone. Oh? I'm still outside, and I'm fine now. It's rare that you, a stinky boy, still have the heart to think of calling me after I left. At this time, Lin Guang said with a smile. Coach, after you left, Real Madrid yesterday. Lose again. Lost to Team Laco, the brothers miss you so much. Kaka said sadly. Did Real Madrid lose again? That season, it seems a little difficult for Real Madrid to catch up with Barca in the league. I'm busy with the new team during this time, so I basically don't watch the news. By the way, who is the head coach of Real Madrid now? Is Mourinho now in office? Lin Guang heard the words and asked with some doubt. It's still Coach Solari and leading the team on a temporary basis. The time of Mourinho's appointment is still Christmas Day. Originally, the brothers of the team missed you a lot, but now after losing, they think even more. By the way, we just watched Manchester United's game live, congratulations on winning the new team's first league victory. At this time, Kaka replied with some choking. Hey, you stinky boys, I miss you too. Slowly adapt, maybe after the arrival of Mourinho, the team will be a different scene? Lin Guang heard this and quickly comforted Kaka. Coach Lin Guang, that last time you said that after the season, you can come to your team. Does it still count? At this time, Kaka said on the other end of the phone. Alas. The last time I left, I said this to you. However, I also expect you to stick to your football beliefs and perform hard in the game. Even if you want to come to me, I hope you can transfer and join as a good player of the year. At this time, for Kaka's obsession, Lin Guang could only sigh helplessly. That's good. Coach Lin Guang. Remember what you said. At this moment, Kaka was on the other end of the phone, and said very firmly. When Lin Guang heard this, he smiled bitterly. I'll go. Remember what you said is going to be a meme for yourself, right? In the following time, after Lin Guang and Kaka talked for a while, the two stopped talking. Late at night, Lin Guang quickly drove back to his home in Manchuria. The apartment where Lin Guang is located was let by Mr. Ferguson, who let him live here. Although he was residing here, Lin Guang had never rejected the intimate kindness of the old master. Such a small nest makes Lin Guang feel very warm in this cold winter. After a tiring day, Lin Guang quickly rested and slept. However, after Manchester United's league victory, it caused a huge discussion in the world of the internet. Episode 90. Manchester United's 5-goal victory, as well as Lin Guang's surprising words at the post-match press conference, made the whole network boil up again. In the world of the internet, fans kept discussing Lin Guang, a maverick coach. In the World Fan Forum, the post about Lin Guang is also undiminished. Brothers, did you all watch this game for Manchester United? Isn't that exciting? Of course, Coach Lin Guang's debut game must be watched. Wonderful. These 5 headers, smashing Tottenham Hotspur is helpless. When I was watching the game, I thought I was watching a live football game. Lin Guang as a coach is indeed bullbeep, his way of playing. I only dare to play like this in the football game. What's going on with United's Nani and Biba? I was watching the game live and the camera flashed and they were both sitting in the stands of the stadium. There must be a story here. Coach Lin Guang didn't want to use them. Manchester United next season, there is something to see. Expect. No matter what, Coach Lin Guang is my idol. By the way, the press conference after the game, did you watch it in the news? Look. Lin Guang said that this year's Mr. Golden Globe, he supports Snyder. In fact, if you think about it, if Snyder wins the Golden Globe this year, it is also deserved. Yes, as a fan of Sammy and Boss May, I also think Snyder deserves this honor this year. This suspense will be revealed tomorrow night. Let's see who it is. By the way, the draw for the round of 16 in the Champions League seems to be held tomorrow morning. Haha, now you can look forward to which teams can be drawn together. I hope Inter can draw Manchester United. So there is a good drama to watch. Haha, ditto. Ditto, +1. The next day, Lin Guang slept until noon before waking up. This night, Lin Guang slept soundly because he felt that he was too tired. Fortunately, he had already given gigs the previous day to let all the players take a leave of absence today. Lin Guang slowly got up, poured himself a glass of water, then opened his mobile phone and lazily lay down on the sofa. At this time, Lin Guang habitually began to brush the sports news on his mobile phone. For last night's Manchester United game, the media is also full of praise. For Lin Guang's Manchester United debut, most people are very satisfied. Looking at these news, Lin Guang would smile at this time. Lin Guang continued to browse the mobile phone screen, and the next news that followed was very important for Lin Guang. That is, on the morning of this day, the lottery ceremony for the top 16 of the Champions League organized by the Greater European Football Association has been successfully concluded. Lin Guang can't wait to check the results of the draw, when the picture of Manchester United vs Dortmund first comes into view. Is it next week to play the Champions League quarterfinals with Dortmund? After all, Manchester United qualified as the first in the group, so the signing against Dortmund is still relatively good. Seeing this result, Lin Guang just smiled softly. Not because Lin Guang felt that the Dort team was a weak team in the paper sense. Instead, after this first round of the quarterfinals with Dortmund, the entire football world has finally entered the winter transfer period. For Lin Guang, the current Manchester United team is almost unavailable. Starting next week, after the last game before Christmas, the players Lin Guang plans to build will slowly join Manchester United. This can't help but make Lin Guang very excited, because Lin United is about to start officially. Lin Guang continued to look at the other lottery results, and when he saw the signing of Inter Milan versus Real Madrid, Lin Guang at this time was sighing. In this game, Mourinho will play directly against Real Madrid as Inter manager. However, after this match, Mourinho will immediately become the manager of Real Madrid. Oh, this is really fun. Now the most entangled person is Mu Shui. At this time, Lin Guang looked at this result and shook his head helplessly and sighed. But at the same time, Lin Guang also had some regrets in his heart. Because if you can stay in the Real Madrid position until Christmas, then you can play with Mourinho in advance. But everything was the best arranged. At this moment, Lin Guang, as the manager of Manchester United, quickly regained his spirits. After eating a few pieces of bread, Lin Guang continued to brush up the sports news of the day. Just when Lin Guang felt a little bored and was ready to turn off his mobile phone, suddenly a news of the Tulip National League First Division made Lin Guang feel cold. That is, in last night's game, Ajax's player Suarez directly bit the opposing Evans midfielder Bakar. Lin Guang knew that this should be the first bite incident in Suarez since the media recorded it. After this match, Suarez was banned by the Tulip National Football Club for 7 games. Due to the poor wind reviews after the game, Suarez sold to Inchao's Liapa team at a low price during the winter break of this year. In the memory of his past life, Lin Guang knew that Suarez this guy would not restrain on the matter of biting. In addition to biting Bakar, Suarez also bit Chelsea defender Ivanovic after coming to the Premier League. Of course, one of Suarez's most famous bites was the game that bit Chiellini at the World Cup. This led directly to the striker, who was banned for several games and directly missed the opportunity to join Real Madrid. It is this striker who makes people love and hate, after joining Barca later, directly formed a super forward combination with Messi, and finally became the Sioux god in the mouth of fans. Suarez's playing is characterized by dexterity and cleverness, his goal-scoring skills are exquisite, and he is very thief in the penalty area. At this moment, facing such a young striker who was not yet completely famous, Lin Guang was extremely excited at this moment. Recruit Suarez into your own team? This is Lin Guang's most direct idea at this moment. Because after the bite, Suarez will inevitably be snubbed and suppressed by his current team. Now if you go to send charcoal in the snow, as the head coach of Manchester United, take the initiative to throw an olive branch to invite Suarez to join, the success rate should be extremely high. Thinking of this, Lin Guang quickly changed his clothes and went out immediately, not even having time to drink the milk on the table.